All right, everybody, welcome. I'm really excited to share this lesson with you today. I'm going to be covering one key thing I think everybody needs to know if they really want to overcome anxiety. And certainly if you're having additional depression on top of the anxiety as well. I'm going to be sharing with you one lesson I've learned over the past 5 or 6 years, dealing with a couple hundred different case studies. So if you're new to our community, welcome. My name is Ty Hicks, founder of mentalhealthcoaching.com. We put this free content out there for you guys every week because we want to serve everybody. Of course, we have private clients that we work with, but even people who just want free content in order to get tools and skills to help get the mental health they deserve, we want to serve you. So today, I'm going to be sharing with you a tiny little framework that has really big consequences. I'm going to just jump right into it. And if you guys have questions, you can add those in the comments. I'll do Q&A towards the end. I'll answer as many questions as I get. Okay, so this framework I learned several years ago from a mentor of mine. She is a woman who has spent decades and decades in the coaching and then also therapy space, working with couples, working with families, working with kids. And in particular, she is similar to me in that she realized that the traditional mental health industry was leaving a lot of people behind. She realized people were not making the headway that they wanted to with traditional therapy and medication. And so she sought out different, more effective methods. And so she was one of the first pioneers that kind of inspired me to get into this field. And so this framework that she helped me learn comes from what's called human needs psychology. Okay, and so the basic premise here that you really want to understand is that all of your thoughts, okay, a lot of you guys are having lots of intrusive thoughts on a regular basis. Okay, all of your thoughts and then all of your behaviors. So some of you might have behaviors that you don't like that you are doing currently. So if you either are having intrusive thoughts that you don't like that you want to get rid of, or if you're having behaviors compulsively that you don't like that you want to get rid of, then pay attention because this will be valuable for you. Okay, so basically the premise behind human needs psychology is that there are 6 key needs that drive all thoughts and all behaviors. And these are not just wants, these are not just desires, these are needs. These are things that your nervous system craves, and your nervous system is going to find some type of a way to get them satisfied one way or the other. Okay, so I'm going to just cover these briefly. I'm not going to do the typical 45-minute training I would on these. But just to kind of give you an idea, if you want to write these down, I highly recommend it because you get a better idea of how your brain works. Okay, so the first big need that drives all human behavior is the need for certainty or comfort, right? Desiring continuity, predictability, knowing how things are going to go, feeling in control. We crave that feeling of certainty. We crave that feeling of comfort. And for those of you who are dealing with high anxiety, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, I'll have more to say on that in a second because this one is a really key driver behind anxiety. So hold on for just a sec. Okay, the second need that you have is for uncertainty, okay, better known by the term variety. So if you just do the same thing every single day, every single moment of every day, you're going to get bored out of your mind. Your nervous system craves variety. It has to feel a change in state, okay? And so before I go further, I should let you know that we meet these needs in either empowering ways or disempowering ways. So if you're trying to feel certainty and comfort, you could do that through learning a new skill, advancing your career, getting a job, going to work, volunteering. But you could also get it through, say, like drugs, alcohol, scrolling on your phone, right? Something to kind of numb yourself and tune things out. That can give you certainty and comfort, okay? For variety, there's positive and negative ways too that we can meet that need. Positive would be like having a conversation, reading a book, learning something, watching a documentary, going for a walk, going out in nature, right? Anything that's positive variety. Negative variety, though, will be something that we go to from time to time. You know, drugs, alcohol, social media, starting a fight or an argument can be a way to do that. Even mood swings. Okay, sometimes some of you guys are going through mood swings. That's because your nervous system craves variety. So sometimes it will trigger a mood swing even when it doesn't help you. Okay, the third need we all have is to feel significant. Okay, I like to define it as feeling good enough. That's what significant really means, right? Feeling good enough as in feeling worthy of love. Okay, so some people get significance through accomplishing something or giving something or being a great dad or a great mom or being a great friend. Other people get significance by being angry, putting people down, criticizing, stroking their ego, right? Things like that. Okay, the fourth need that you have is for connection and love. So this one's pretty self-explanatory. Positive ways to do that: friendship, family, community, making love, joining a community, contributing, all sorts of things like that. Volunteering, being in a part of a church or a community or whatever. Okay, and then there's negative ways to get love and connection too, or I guess I should say like unhealthy ways. Maybe like pornography, overindulgence in pornography, maybe hanging out with a crowd that's really not good for you, but you don't want to lose their connection. Going inside yourself and connecting with yourself, like self-isolation and going, oh gosh, well, I'm the one that's really got it really bad. Okay, that's a negative way to meet the need for connection and love. Okay, the fifth one is for growth. All right, so you got to feel like you're growing or you're not going to feel fulfilled. And then the sixth one is for contribution. You've ultimately got to feel like you are contributing beyond yourself to feel fulfilled. Okay, now why in the world am I sharing these with you? There's so many valuable things I could say about this list of 6. The first one is, if you want to know why you are doing what you are doing right now that you don't want to keep doing, it's because it's meeting one of these 6 needs. Okay, I'll say that differently. If you have a negative thought or a negative behavior that you don't like, that you keep doing on a regular, repetitive basis, I guarantee you it's because it is meeting one or more of these 6 needs, and probably it's meeting 3 or more. Okay, because if you meet 3 or more of these needs, it becomes an addiction. An addiction just means your nervous system has a pattern of going back into the same routine again and again in order to meet your needs. Okay, and anxiety, you could think of anxiety as being an emotional addiction, meaning it is a pattern that generates itself repetitively inside of the nervous system. Okay, so what kind of needs does anxiety meet? Well, the first one that comes to mind is variety. Okay, anxiety is a natural way to induce variety, which is something that your nervous system craves. And this is often what happens when this is why sometimes what happens for people is they start having a little bit of anxiety like at work, and then they take time off of work or they quit work entirely, and then when they're unemployed, now all of a sudden the anxiety goes higher, right? It's because you used to have a source of variety, which was called work. Now you don't have that variety anymore. So your nervous system will consistently generate new thoughts and new ideas and new scenarios and what if this and what if that, because it craves that variety. So that's one of the big needs that anxiety meets. Okay, a second one that comes to mind is certainty, and this is a really big one because think of anxiety as just your brain trying to pin down certainty. That's all it is, really, right? Your brain is trying to get to this magical moment of there's no stresses, there's no problems, there's no variables. I know exactly what's going to happen. I know I'm going to be safe. I can control it. I feel totally, completely certain, right? And so your brain is going crazy trying to reach that magic moment of total certainty, right? So that's another one of the needs that it goes after. Okay, it can actually start to become a way that we meet our need for connection. Okay, a lot of times what happens is we have like an anxiety attack. And then what happens? People come to us, console us. Oh my gosh, are you okay? What's going on? Da, 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 da. And even though you're not consciously using anxiety to get attention, I would never accuse you of that, right? That would be like manipulation. But we all are trained in the subconscious. We all are highly susceptible to this. I've done this too. And so what will happen is our brain can sometimes link up. Being in pain means I get to connect with people. Or what we sometimes do is we get so used to talking to our friends and our family about our mental health that now anxiety becomes the vehicle through which we connect with other people, as opposed to talking to them about other more healthy, empowering things. Okay, so it can meet the need for certainty, for variety, for connection. It can meet the need for significance too, because sometimes what happens is we have an anxiety attack or anxiety starts to become a part of our life. And whereas before we used to put all of our energy into being a good dad or being a good mom or going to work or reading books or working on these skills or these projects, we used to have something else that made us feel significant. Now what starts to happen is we Google all the time about anxiety and, oh, it's generalized anxiety disorder. That's what it is. Oh, okay, well, let me talk to this specialist. And we give it more energy. And that's where we start to feel our sense of significance again. The problem becomes more significant. It feels large. It feels like something very noteworthy. And so it becomes a negative way for us to get our sense of significance. And again, this is almost always subconscious. We don't even realize that we're doing it. But these are some of the ways that anxiety starts to stick around in the nervous system. Okay, anxiety can even be a vehicle for growth, believe it or not, because I know some of you guys have done this, where especially if you felt like you've had anxiety for a long time, then you start Googling and you start learning information. And then what you start to do is you start to go, oh, wow, I'm learning so much. Look at this video, look at this Instagram live, like just like what you're doing right now, right? You're partially meeting your need for growth through anxiety right now, because you're going, okay, well, yeah, I'm learning more about the brain and the psychology and this strategy and this tactic. And that starts to make you feel like you're growing as an individual. And if you didn't have the anxiety, then what would you use to grow? So anxiety becomes the addiction, right, that helps us meet our need for growth even. And then even sixth is contribution. So some of you guys have like your pages where you're like, this is my journey of anxiety recovery. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with that, right? I'm not making you wrong for that. I'm just trying to point out that sometimes our nervous system wants to hold on to our problems because our problems meet our needs currently. And so if we feel like by having anxiety and talking about anxiety and sharing with other people, that's a way to contribute, then sometimes our nervous system can feel like it's got to hold on to that anxiety. And so that's one of the key things. So I titled this lesson, there's one thing you need to know if you want to overcome anxiety. And here's the one thing you really, truly, absolutely have to know. Well, actually, I'm going to make it two things. I'll start with the one thing I intended, and then I'll give you a bonus. Here's the one thing you absolutely have to know. If you really, truly want to get anxiety or, frankly, any other mental health issue out of your life, like overcome it, right? Depression would be another good example. Then here's the key. You must, key emphasis on must, you must find empowering ways to meet your 6 needs. You must, okay? Right now, as of the recording of this video right here, we've done, I think I'm at about 520 successful clients we've had. And that we measure success by either we get the anxiety reduced by at least 75% or more, okay? And in every single one of those cases, it has always been that we've had to get that person meeting their 6 needs in better, alternative, empowering ways as a key ingredient for their overall success. Okay, now that doesn't necessarily mean that that's like the very first thing that we have them do. The very first thing we usually have them do is like we start off with some simple brain retraining so that they can start to feel more in control. But slowly, over the course of 60 to 90 days, we get them to spend more of their mental and emotional energy sending their energy out into the world. Okay, so basically, like it can be through friendships, it can be through contributing to a repetition or contributing to a community of some kind, like a church or some type of like community that's important to them. It could be them. There's a lady I just worked with recently where she was deeply depressed and anxious, and one of the things that she started to do was she started to bake for her sick neighbor once a week, and that just that one habit dropped her depression by at least 10%. Okay, so very often, once we start getting people contributing in new ways, I see somebody had a question about what are the 6 needs. I'll go through them again. So once we start giving somebody a new way to feel certainty, that's the first one. Once we help somebody start feeling a new sense of variety is the second one. Once we help somebody find a new way to feel significant and worthy. Once we help somebody find a new sense of connection and love, a new sense of growth, or a new sense of contribution, the anxiety and the depression almost always drops. Okay, now sometimes we need to experiment and customize to figure out what is going to be the real true way for that individual person to get their needs met, because not everybody is the same, right? So that's a very important element of this equation. But here's what I want you to do. Here's the key takeaway that I think you can use to use this framework to help yourself overcome anxiety a little bit faster. What I want you to do is I want you to do a quick little self-assessment. right? What level of fulfillment are you feeling in each one of these 6 needs in your life in general? So let's go through these real quick and you just mentally ask yourself. Okay, so first one is certainty. So 0 would be you feel totally out of control, you feel totally uncertain, you feel scared, fearful, basically like there's no certainty in your life, right? 10 would be you feel total certainty and comfort anywhere, anytime, anywhere you go. So just the answer to yourself, what's 0 out of 10, and put it in the comments if you like. I'd really love to see what would be your score of certainty, 0 to 10 currently, okay? Number 2, what is your level of satisfaction on variety, right? So fulfillment and variety. So a 10 would be you got total, absolute positive variety, stimulation, surprise, mystery, curiosity. 0 is you're completely, totally, absolutely bored. Like there's no variety in your life at all. So what level of fulfillment do you have in your life in general on variety? Let me know in the comments. I see Allie put 8, I think, for certainty. Okay. Third one is significance. How significant do you feel? As in, like, how worthy of love do you feel? What is your self-esteem like, basically? So a 10 would be you feel ultimately totally significant. 0 would be you feel completely insignificant, right? You feel like you don't matter, basically. That would be a 0 on significance. Okay, I see comments of a 4 and a 3. Okay, the fourth one is connection and love. So what's your current level of fulfillment with connection and love? 10 would be you feel like you've got the quantity and quality of connection that you really want. 0 is you feel totally isolated, alone. Okay, that would be connection and love. Fifth would be growth. So 10 is you feel totally, absolutely like you're growing all the time. 0 is you feel like you're growing 0, like none at all. Okay, and then contribution, I see another 4, significance 1, I see from Stephanie. Thank you for adding that in. Okay, and then finally, contribution. Okay, 10 would be you feel like you are contributing massively in very important ways to other people. 0 is you feel like you're contributing nothing. Okay, so what is your level of fulfillment on those? Okay, now here's the key. If you found yourself on those in the 0 to 4 range on average for most of those 6, then that is a key ingredient that is keeping you anxious. That's what I want you to understand. So if you found that you're at like the 0 to 4 range, or even like maybe 0 to 5, if you're in that range for the average, the most of those, right? So maybe one was like a 7, 8, maybe one's a 2, that would still be like an average of about like a 5, for example. Okay, so if you're finding yourself at like the 5 or below range, then that is almost always a key reason why you've got major anxiety going on. Okay, it's not the only reason, but it is a very, very important key ingredient. So if you really want to overcome anxiety, and that's our goal, right? That's the only thing I'm interested in helping you do. I don't want to help you just cope with anxiety. I want you to overcome the shit, right? If you really want to overcome it, you've got to find empowering vehicles, which just means ways, empowering ways to meet those 6 needs at high levels. That would be above a 5 consistently. Okay, you've got to plug yourself into new ways to get those needs met at a consistent level. Okay, now I told you I had a bonus lesson for you. Here's the quick little bonus lesson. Okay, if you also want to overcome anxiety, here's another really important thing. And that is that you have to make sure that you are not overvaluing certainty or significance. Okay, because go ahead and just pay attention with me for the next 5 minutes, and I guarantee if you do, you'll probably understand your anxiety in a very different way. Okay, chances are that if you're feeling anxiety on a regular basis, either one or both of these things is going on. Either one, your brain is constantly trying to figure out, how can I just feel certain? And you might not use the word certain, you might use the word like safe, in control, calm, healthy, right? But like basically, if your mind is constantly trying to reach this moment where there's no variables, there's no what ifs, you've looked under every single rock, you have all the information, you've accounted for everything, and you're completely, totally, absolutely certain, please let me know in the comments. Just put the word certain in the comments if that sounds like you, if you're constantly chasing down certainty in your brain, okay? Because with the clients that I work with, probably at least 3/4 of them, that is definitely the case, okay? The second situation that might be happening for you is that what you're chasing down in your brain is you want to know that you are good enough. Now, you might not use the word good enough, but you might be like constantly worried about like, oh my gosh, well, what does that person think of me? Or well, oh well, is my mom gonna approve if I do that thing? Or oh gosh, did they think I'm being too loud right now? Right? So it could be like approval that you're chasing after, or it could be like success, for example. Like, I don't feel good enough unless I have all the success, and I got to get the success right here, right now, or else everyone's going to think I'm a failure, and then blah, 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 right? So the anxiety could be around you trying to achieve something, or be successful, or be like a really, really good mom, or be a good dad, or like to be perfect, or to be like to please everybody. Okay, all of those would be in the category of significance. Okay, you're basic, but what that means is you're constantly trying to prove something. You're trying to prove your self-worth, basically. You're basically trying to check all of these little boxes. Like, okay, well, if I do this and this and this and this and this and this, then I'll feel good enough about myself. And then I won't have anxiety anymore. All I got to do is check all these freaking boxes. Okay, so here's what you got to know. What has happened for you is certainty or significance. I see Allie says both of these, right? That's very common. It's very common for both of these to be the problem. Okay, so what's happened for you guys is that either certainty or significance or both is at the top of your list. Okay, and that's what is driving your anxiety. So let me explain. Like, let's take two hypotheticals. Let's take one person, okay, and at the very top of their list is love, right? The number one most important need for them is love. And then lower on the list, like let's say like 3 or 4 is certainty. So they do want certainty, they do want comfort, but what they really value most is love. Well, what that means is they are not going to self-isolate themselves because love is most important to them. So even if they got to go have a tough conversation with somebody, or even if they need to go apologize, or even if they want to, if they have fears about going out on a date and being seen and being vulnerable, they're still going to push themselves to do those things because they value love more than the certainty and comfort. They want certainty and comfort, but they want love more. So they're going to chase after love more. It's a value that's higher on the list for them. Okay, now let's try a second hypothetical. Let's inverse that. Let's imagine now somebody wants love, but what they really, really value currently in their life, way at the top of the list, is certainty and comfort. Well, I'll tell you exactly what's going to happen. That person is going to want to go on a date, but then they're going to convince themselves not to go on the date because they're not totally certain that the date is going to be good or that the person is going to like them. They may want to initiate making love with their partner, but if they think they're going to get rejected and they're not certain, they're not going to go and do it. If they want to go apologize to somebody and solve the problem, but they're not totally certain how the person's going to respond, they'll back away because certainty and comfort is more important to them currently. And when certainty or significance is more important, the other needs can't be met. Okay? So, for example, if I have to feel totally certain before I let love in, well, guess what? I'm not going to feel love very often. Right? If I have to feel totally good enough first, like if I need to feel respected or acknowledged or appreciated, if all of my different rules have to be met so I feel good enough before I then go express love to somebody else, I'm not going to feel as much love. So if you have certainty and significance towards the top of your list, it makes it very, very difficult for you to feel love, to feel growth, to feel contribution, to feel variety. They become prisons, basically. It's like you put a wall up because you say, okay, I really want love, I really want variety, I really want to grow, I really want to contribute, but I have to be certain first. And this is why people end up making decisions like, all right, I'm going to leave work for 6 months because I just need to get to this moment where I feel certain again. I need to feel certain I can go back to work. Then I'll go back to work and I'll contribute and I'll grow and I'll have variety. And you've got the order backwards. You've got to get yourself into the mode of giving and contributing and experiencing variety, even if you don't feel certain, even if you don't feel significant. Okay? So anyway, here's the key thing I want you to get. And please, please, please hear me very clearly on this, because if you hear this, oh my gosh, your whole life, your whole mental health could change. Okay. We feel anxiety in direct proportion to how much certainty we convince ourselves we have to have. Okay. So if you are living your life and you only need to have like a little bit of certainty, you're going to have a very much like anxiety free life. If you convince yourself you need a lot of certainty, like I need to be certain about my job and the future and the economy and the news and what's going on in the Middle East, and okay, well, how do I know no one's gonna like, violate any traffic laws when I go out and drive? And how do I know I'm completely, totally healthy? And how do I know that this little sensation I felt in my body isn't cancer? And how do I know? How do I know? I need to know, right? The more certainty like the higher that stack is of things you need to be certain about, the more anxiety you're going to have. Okay. A simpler way of saying that would be the more you value certainty, the more anxiety you will have. Okay. So, and a simple example would be think of somebody that you know in your life who has like zero anxiety, who's got like total confidence. They can handle just about anything, anywhere, all the time, right? If you think about somebody like that, imagine going up to them and asking them, do you need to be totally certain of something before you do it? They would go, no, what are you talking about? No, of course I'm not certain. I'll just figure it out as I go. I'll handle it as I go, right? The belief of I must be certain first, and then I'll do all these other things, then I'll go live my life. That belief of I've got to have certainty first is the thing that's causing the anxiety, okay? So that's the thing I want you to understand. Your anxiety will reduce in direct proportion to how much you devalue certainty. Another way of saying that would be your anxiety will reduce as you train yourself to live with uncertainty. And the key here is to recognize that uncertainty is not danger, right? Your nervous system has gotten convinced that just because I'm uncertain, that means I'm in danger. The two are not the same thing. Okay, it's not the same thing. All right. So anyway, I kind of went off the rails a little bit with this one. I just wanted to overserve and add value for you guys. There were some questions. I think I saw a lot of comments today. Let's see. I saw a question about, where was it? Damon says, hi, Ty. I've yet to try your routine exercises you showed me. I will start that soon. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. And by the way, I'm happy to do something cool for you guys that are on this call as well. If any of you guys would like completely free access to the very first training that we provide our clients, it's a full 90-minute training. And if any of you guys would like to have that totally free, you don't need to enter any payment info or anything, just in the comments, go ahead and put the word trial. And my team or myself will send a link over for you and you can access that. All you need is a valid email and you can access that. And that's a full 90-minute training where I would show you the 3 key things you need to do to start reducing your anxiety right away. Okay. So I see I see a couple comments coming in. Make sure that you just put that on the video when the video's done and we'll get that to you, okay? For those of you who are live, you'll need to go back to the video that's posted on the page and add it because your comments will get deleted once the live video is over. So either shoot me a direct message would be honestly the best thing you can do so that way we don't miss you, or go comment on this video once it's fully published as a static video, and we'll get that over to you guys. Okay. All right. Well, anyway, thank you guys. I do these live trainings once a week, so feel free to join us next week, and we'll be happy to serve you again. But great engagement today, and I wish you guys the best of luck. Talk to you soon. Bye.